Hello, manga and anime lovers. I'm Branch, and today I'm reviewing episode 2 of Mysterious Disappearances. It's been a little while since I watched the last one, schoolwork caught up and all that. This one was a lot slower than the first episode in terms of plot progression. I did expect this episode to be a two-parter or maybe even a three-parter from what I vaguely remember of the manga. I remember this case being a little long, but the beginning of the episode was really good. It started off with a couple flashbacks showing Sumireko's rejection by various editors as she got older, and it showed a stark contrast between when she was younger, when they would praise her, and then when she was older and they would reject her for the same things that they praised her when she was younger. I already talked a lot about this last episode, and I believe this flashback was actually originally supposed to be in the middle of last week's mystery, in terms of the manga, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, though. But anyways, it was pretty good to jump us right back into things at the beginning of this episode, and it does kind of hold a little bit, because it turns out Sumireko is now a curse, or a curiosity, or at least half of one. Curiosity is what they call curses. I've been calling them curses because I didn't know the real name. But these mysterious happenings are called curiosities, and Sumireko is now able to change her age at will because she read the cursed poem. Now, my personal theory about this is that it's only because she abused it, basically. And I'm not sure if the side effects still apply or if she can just deal with them longer because she's gotten used to them. My guess would be that the side effects do apply, just not as much as they did the first time. And also, she's not getting as young as she did in the first episode. So the main plot of this episode is we get introduced to Adashino's sister, Ulto. I guess I'll talk a little bit about her. She doesn't stand out a whole lot. Ulto is kind of the typical little sister character, although she does have a couple unique characteristics, and her situation is pretty interesting to me. And I also like that they didn't go the creepy route with her being obsessed with her older brother. I know a lot of anime do that, or at least a lot of manga, especially isekai, that I've been reading. As an older brother myself, it really grinds my nerves, but that's besides the point. The main thing to do with Ulto is that she is apparently not from this world. Adashino says that he's trying to send her back to her world. Now, I don't know if that applies to him too. They both have the same kind of eyes, so I assume they're both from the same world, and they somehow got stuck in this one. Adashino later alludes to what they've been through when he describes spiriting ways as beings being rejected from their own world and being put into another. And I find that pretty interesting because that means that all of these curiosities are actually from different worlds, and they've been spirited away to whatever world the series is set place in, like modern Japan, or at least a version of it. So this revelation makes a lot of sense with what Adashino did at the end of the last episode, and again at the beginning of this one, where he tried to trade in the cursed book for a train ticket. And at first I thought the train ticket was just a random thing they were trading for, but no. Apparently this is a train station, and my guess is that it's a train station between worlds. That actually brings me back to Miyazaki's Spirited Away with that train station, although it wasn't exactly the same thing. So anyways, Adashino's goal seems to be to send Ulto back to their world via a train. Now, the only train that he can get on with the book is the train to Yami Station. And Yami meaning darkness, I'm guessing he doesn't want to go there, so that's why he didn't take the offer. Now, that does make me wonder who is running this train station, what kind of beings they are, or organization, or mysterious phenomenon. I'm sure we'll get more into that later on. I'm just curious. I'm mentioning it right now so I don't forget. But then the show transitions into the school arc, which I do remember more than basically anything else in the manga. In fact, this might have been the last arc I read. So it's pretty fresh. Well, it's pretty fresh in my memory for being a couple years old. So I don't have a lot of thoughts on everything that happens in the school arc because it's a lot of introduction right now. So not a lot of things happen. We're introduced to the school. We're introduced to the atmosphere of the school, which is kind of strange in that everyone's way too nice. And at the end of the episode, we figure out why. It's because the teacher is sending any kids who exhibit bullying tendencies, at least in her eyes, away from the school by making them drool nonstop. This is pretty scary. I don't know if her powers create drool. My guess is that she makes the students create their own drool, which means that they could get super dehydrated and die. So this is not something to be taken lightly at any rate. When it happens later in the episode, it's actually kind of scary the way they just start drooling. I was going to say bleeding at the mouth because that's what it looks like, but they start drooling at the mouth and just collapse, which is pretty harsh. Especially since this teacher seems to be very self-righteous, which is not good. Those types of people are usually worse than the people they think they're protecting against. She doesn't like bullies, and yet she's basically bullying these students out of school. And as we've seen this episode, those students probably didn't deserve what they got. They didn't deserve the permanent banning. Even though Oto's friends were being very annoying, and if they were adults and I was in Sumireko's position, I would be really, really mad. They're just kids. They're just messing around, having fun. They actually remind me a lot of my own sisters, not in the topics they talk about, but in the way if they think you have knowledge on something that they're interested in, they will hound you until you give them what they want. So it's kind of cute in that regard. I still found them a little annoying, but like I said, they're just kids. And what this teacher is putting them through is really bad, and I really instantly dislike her. In fact, I kind of disliked her the instant she ran into the room and accused them of bullying Sumireko, even though they were just grabbing onto her arms. They weren't doing anything yet. They were just being a bit annoying. So this teacher is a pretty bad person, in my opinion. I really strongly dislike people like those. Now let's move on to talking about Oto, since I didn't mention her much, except to say that she was kind of generic. She is, on the surface, she does seem to have some further underlying qualities that I find kind of interesting, and I hope they expand upon them more. She definitely really cares about her brother, and it seems to be the two of them, so she's very attached and is very jealous of Sumireko for taking her brother's attention away from her. And I like that sort of sibling closeness, that jealousy of siblings getting a significant other and spending less time with you and possibly moving away, because that's something that happens in real life. It's not the creepy, I'm in love with my brother or sister, so therefore I'm jealous of everyone who gets close to them. It's my brother and sister is the closest person to me, and so I'm scared that someone else will take them away from me. And I find that very endearing, and especially because Oto seems very easily influenced by people around her. We can see that her classmates are basically spoiling her all the time, giving her snacks, holding her in their laps, and she very easily warms up to Sumireko in the bathroom when Sumireko takes her seriously and treats her with a little bit of respect. She's almost a tsundere in that regard, except a little less tsun and a lot more insecurities and fear. I think what's interesting, aside from that, is that Sumireko cannot see these markers, as Adashino calls them, that are left behind by these mysterious events, these curiosities, and yet Oto can. So Oto and Adashino are a type of thing that is able to see these mysterious markers from curiosities. And yet Sumireko cannot, even though she is now half a curiosity herself. My guess is as she continues to use her powers, she will be able to eventually see these markers, and the powers will begin to take over her, which is probably a conflict for way later down the line in the show, but I'm just mentioning it here because it might come up. Again, the character interactions were pretty good, especially Adashino and Sumireko. I really like how Adashino, even though he likes Sumireko, he says some creepy things, but he doesn't act creepy at all. He covers her up when she's almost naked on the bench outside with some nuanced character, and I really like what's going on so far. I guess since this episode was the first of a two-parter, I don't have too much to say about it. I will touch on the opening song, which is actually, I kind of like it. It's pretty good. I still dislike the heavy fan service in the opening, but everything else that's not fan service is really good. The colors, the presentation, everything is really good in the opening. The ending, even more so. And the ending song is really good. It's kind of a spooky, jazzy type thing. I'm not very good with music. That's as best as I can describe it. But I really like the song after hearing it twice, and by the end of the season, I'll probably download it to my personal music store so I can listen to it at any time. I think that's it for this episode. I've talked about basically everything. Again, not much to say, but hopefully next episode we'll have the main part of the story and the conclusion for this arc, and then we'll move into the next one, which I haven't seen yet. So thanks so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye!